Hello, thanks for stopping by. This is Keystone Kapers for the Colecovision, released by Activision back in 1983. And I'm playing this game on a CollectorVision Phoenix FPGA console. The CollectorVision Phoenix console looks like this. It's this tiny little console, and it doesn't have a lot of weight to it. It uses all Colecovision cartridges directly. You just plug them right in. I suppose it's the dream I had when I was a kid, just to be able to play these games because they were supposed to be awesome. Unfortunately for the ColecoVision, it had this really great looking controller, and it had a really tiny cord, and honestly it played like garbage. This controller totally doesn't fit into your hands the way you'd want it to. It actually kind of hurts your wrist, and it has a really firm joystick, and the buttons, these buttons are in a terrible place. The one thing it does have is this number pad, which can be used for some games. I think the great thing about this console is that the developers realized that this was a problem, so they made a port for a Super Nintendo controller. How awesome is that? I'm playing this game using a Super Nintendo controller, which is very comfortable. Now, this is a game I played extensively in the Atari 2600, and actually it was the first video that I put on this channel. On the top 10 games of the Atari 2600, I'm pretty sure this is on that list. It's definitely on that list for me, and I've put hours upon hours into that game, so any version of this game that I get to play is great. Now, this ColecoVision game I found at a comic store, and I was really happy to get it. I think it was maybe $10. Popped it in, and honestly, overall though, I think I do prefer the Atari 2600 game. There are differences between the two versions, and some of the changes are nice, but I don't know if they changed the overall gameplay. They definitely didn't change it enough to make it feel different. Coming out of the gates, when you start this one, you get a jingle. It's something we didn't have in the Atari 2600 for a lot of games. Now, I'm all for music, but I don't think for this one it necessarily does much of anything. In this game, you play Keystone Kelly, and you're running around trying to capture an escaped convict, Harry Hooligan, and he's running through a department store. Basically, your goal is to catch him by the end of the level, and then the level starts over, a little more difficult than the last time. You're going to have new obstacles, more obstacles, and the speed of the obstacles eventually will change, so it increases in difficulty, and I think they do a pretty good job of it. They never really answer the question of why do you catch the hooligan and release him every time, but, well, here we are. One of the things you notice about this game compared to the 2600 game is the graphics here, they kicked it up a notch. There's more detail in this one, but the truth is I don't think it makes this one any better. Here in this one, your character is taller than the guy in the 2600, and he does run different. The running part's a little interesting to me. In the 2600, you're short, and you run, and it's very constant. You're plodding along, and your footsteps are the one distinct sound in the entire game, and it's at a particular cadence. Here, your cadence sounds different. And after putting in so many hours for the 2600 game, it makes this one just feel wrong. I guess maybe the sound isn't a big deal overall, but I do feel like you run better in the 2600 version, and I feel also like that sprite actually looks more appropriate when your character's running. It looks like he's actually doing it. Here, it doesn't really look like you're actually running. To me, it really looks like you're jump kicking your way across the screen. Check it out. It's like you're a ninja master, and you're just fly kicking your way all through the hallways. Or possibly an Olympian jumping over hurdles that aren't there. Once you see it, I don't think you can unsee that. Now, it has the same basic obstacles as the 2600 version does, and basically, as you clear a stage, one more obstacle will be added. You get the bouncing ball you jump over, then there's a shopping cart, and there's an old-time radio, a toy plane, then 2 radios. Then the bouncing ball bounces higher, and then the speed of the shopping carts and the toy planes, they start to increase. This means you have to jump more, duck more, and you have to be more cautious as every level starts. The other sort of functions on the map, they appear to be the same as well. You can only go up escalators, you can't go down. There is an elevator in the middle of the store, and when Harry Hooligan reaches the last screen on the end of a floor where the escalator is, he doesn't actually travel up the escalator, he just teleports to the level above. So he gets a benefit for just making it to that screen before you do. They did change the graphics in this one a little bit, but the basic core layout is there. It's all the same. There are some better backgrounds for the department store. There are some additional colors here, and the skyline at the top of the building is also different. But it also changed certain things in this game that I think maybe were changed for the worse. The shopping carts. They're now just one color. White. This is like one of the most major obstacles in this game. And now it looks really plain. The toy planes are one color as well, they're just black. In the Atari game, both of these obstacles had 2 colors each. And although it's still a basic sprite here, you knew exactly what they were, and they felt complete. I don't know, I guess I just prefer the way the Atari looks in this one. I also think the timing and overall speed of the game, it probably matches pretty well, I think. I didn't feel like I was playing a completely foreign game here. Picked up the controller and you were off to the races immediately. I think they did a good job of making them match. The one thing that I thought maybe was a little easier was when the bouncing ball was bouncing higher, it just felt to me like I had an easier time getting underneath it than I did with the Atari version. I think besides that, everything feels reasonably close to the 2600. Now, I also did a review of the Commodore 64 version of this game. It was a fan-made copy, I believe, and I thought that was pretty great. I just don't think I would rank this game up there with that one, though. This one's fine. I just think I prefer what I was used to before. The one thing that I did figure out in this game that I do like, I thought it was great actually, was that the Colecovision controller actually uses the button 0. It'll pause the game. That was something that was unheard of for the Atari 2600, and it's awesome to have. I know the Atari 5200 had a version of this game, and they had a pause button, but I don't have a 5200, and unless they're ever going to release it as an FPGA, I probably never will. So, I think this one overall, it's not treading any new territory, and although the graphics are a little better in some areas, I kind of think they're a little worse in others. I'm definitely glad to have it in the collection, though. Well, that's all I have today for Keystone Kapers for the ColecoVision. Thanks for stopping by to take a look, and I'll catch you on another video.